Hello, I'm Bernard Montel and I'm Technical Director and Security Strategist at Tenable for EMEA. We talk about turning left, in comparison with right, which is the runtime. Runtime applications which are already deployed, we use to scan them to find vulnerabilities. But if we can look at the code of the infrastructure, when it is coded, before it is put in production, we talk about turning left, looking at, for example, solutions like infrastructure as code, where the infrastructures, all the services are in fact coded today in files. If we can detect on those files before they are putting in productions in the cloud services, some doors open, some vulnerabilities, then this is the shifting left approach, which is looking on the left on the code compared to on the right where the application is already in runtime. So today, we see mainly three kinds of threats. Number one, working from home, the remote workers. Since 2 years right now, the majority of the employees are working from home, and we know that the home network doesn't have the security expected compared to the corporate network. So we have seen a lot of attacks, ransomware attacks, or social engineering attacks using those vulnerabilities from the home network. That's the first kind of threat, which is used by attackers. The second one, related to this one, is obviously cloud applications. The reason why Tenable decided to invest more around the cloud solutions is because now organizations, because they needed to put people from home, they also needed to deploy cloud services very quickly. So targeting cloud for attackers has a kind of domino effect. They target one and they can hit many. So that is really the second threat in the landscape of 2022 we see more and more. So the cloud security, and if we can do cloud security natively, it's even better, is the second threat. The third one is what we're calling physical supply chain. So we have software supply chain, which is one, and we also have physical supply chain, which is attacks against critical infrastructures have an impact to the human being, has an impact to the people, like food suppliers, like power suppliers, and healthcare, as an example. Gas, oil and gas, critical infrastructures globally, and we can consider this is the third threat landscape that we see globally, and in the region, obviously. So IoT is a space which is very diverse. So we see IT classically, we see OT, for industrial systems, and IoT are sensors or devices that suddenly invite themselves in what we are calling the attack surface. So at Tenable, we are really looking after mainly IT and OT, but we see that IoT is something which is now brand new that can also be invited to the attack surface. At the end of the day, we can consider them like new IP addresses we can just handle and globally handle within the IT, but for sure the attack surface is growing and we need to be able to have more capacity to handle it from a security standpoint. So the more important stuff is to understand that we have more and more vulnerabilities. We don't have only one kind of vulnerability. In the past, it was only what we call today software vulnerabilities, bugs, okay? And that is the core business of Tenable for many years. We also have misconfiguration. For example, misconfigurations against Active Directory. The majority of the ransomwares are targeting AD for getting, privileged access. But we also have identity vulnerabilities, access which are not well positioned. All in all, we have to be able to understand that those kind of vulnerabilities are growing. If we don't take a risk-based approach, which is really focusing on what is important, business critical, what is important when a specific software has very, very high level access to Active Directory. So a risk approach is the only way to reduce the gap. We cannot handle all the vulnerabilities. We just have to take a risk approach, focusing on what is important for the organization and only focusing on this one.